No one talks about the nights you cry in silence. The nights when the ache in your chest is heavier than any burden you've ever known. When the world outside is quiet, but your mind is storming with doubts, regrets, and the relentless question, is it all worth it? No one tells you about the days you question your very worth. When you look in the mirror and wonder if you're fooling yourself. Chasing a vision that only you seem to see. No one describes the moments when you feel like the whole world has moved on without you. Like you're standing still while everyone else is racing ahead, laughing, connecting, living lives that seem so much easier, so much lighter than yours. Success? It sounds glamorous. It's a word that sparkles in the stories we hear, in the images we see, in the dreams we build. But the road that leads to it, that road, is lonely. It's quiet. It's misunderstood. It's a path where echoes of your own footsteps are often the only company you'll find. Because when you choose greatness, when you choose to step away from the ordinary, you also choose solitude. You choose to walk a trail that few dare to tread. But listen closely. You're not weak because you feel alone. You're not lost because no one believes in you. This is just what the journey looks like, the real journey. The one behind the filtered images and highlight reels. And if you hold on long enough, if you keep moving through the darkness and the doubt, you'll see it's absolutely worth it. You've probably heard it before. Maybe it started as a whisper. Maybe it was shouted in your face. You're not good enough. You're too different. People like you don't make it to the top. Words that sting. Words that linger. Words that sometimes begin to sound like truth. And maybe, just maybe, you started to believe it. Because how do you hold on to a dream when even your own family doesn't see it? How do you stay strong when the people who should have been your shelter, your support, your cheerleaders, seem to be the ones pointing out your flaws, your failures, your past, as if you didn't already carry those wounds yourself? Old scars that ache every time you try to rise. Sometimes the loudest discouragement doesn't come from strangers. It comes from the people who should have supported you. The people who love you, but whose love is laced with fear, with doubt, with the memory of their own dreams deferred. They don't mean to hurt you, but their words cut deep. They remind you of every place you fell short, every time you stumbled, every risk you took that didn't work out. They want you safe. They want you secure. But safety is not where greatness is born. I know what it feels like to work so hard and still feel like you're standing still. To give your all, to pour your energy, your heart, your soul into something, and still not be recognized. To question if you're even supposed to be on this path, or if you're just chasing shadows. Maybe it's your background. Maybe it's the neighborhood you came from. Maybe it's the way you look, the way you speak, the mistakes you made in the past. And the world keeps reminding you constantly that you're not their version of qualified, that you don't fit their mold, you don't check their boxes, you don't belong in the room where it happens. But here's what they never understood. You weren't born to fit in. You were born to stand out. And standing out means walking alone sometimes. It means choosing your own path, even if you have to carve it out of the wilderness with your bare hands. It means choosing to believe in yourself, even when no one else does. It means refusing to shrink, to dim, to disappear just because your light makes others uncomfortable. There's a cost to greatness that no one posts about. The solitude, the sleepless nights, the constant self-doubt that gnaws at you, that whispers you're not enough. You'll never be enough, no matter how hard you try. The mental battle of pushing forward when your heart wants to retreat, when your mind begs for comfort, for relief, for anything to numb the ache of uncertainty. And here's the hardest part. Sometimes you'll have no applause, no backup, no comfort, just you, your vision, and silence. But silence is not absence. Silence is not emptiness. It's the quiet where greatness is being formed. It's the space where you learn to listen, not to the noise, not to the doubters, not to the crowd, but to yourself, to your purpose, to that small, persistent voice that says, keep going, just one more step. Think about the ones who changed the world. J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter in cafes as a broke single mother. She poured her magic onto the page while her world was falling apart, her future uncertain, her bank account empty. She was rejected by publisher after publisher, alone. But she kept writing. Elon Musk once slept on his office floor because he couldn't afford rent. He gambled everything, his reputation, his money, his sanity, on his vision, alone. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, alone with his belief in justice, stripped of freedom, stripped of comfort, but never stripped of hope. What do they all have in common? They were misunderstood, isolated, questioned, laughed at, but they didn't stop because they knew it's better to walk alone on the path of truth than follow the crowd to nowhere. They knew that the loneliness was not punishment, it was preparation. That the silence was not emptiness, it was space for clarity, for growth, for transformation. You cannot be great and be accepted by everyone. You cannot break barriers and avoid criticism. You cannot rise and stay in the crowd. That isolation you feel, that distance, that silence, it's not punishment, it's preparation. It's the space where the noise dies down and clarity is born. Sometimes God separates you before He elevates you. He hides you so you can grow roots before bearing fruit. He pulls you away from the crowd so you can discover who you truly are, so you can remember why you started, so you can build a foundation that will never crumble, no matter how high you rise. I know you're tired. I know you're starting to wonder if this dream is even real. You're doing your best and it feels like no one sees. You're putting your soul into something and they're still questioning your purpose. You're starting to believe the lies, that maybe the top just isn't for you, that maybe you're not meant to make it, that maybe you should just give up and settle for something smaller, something safer, something easier. But let me remind you of something. Just because they don't believe in you doesn't mean it's not true. Just because they can't see your vision doesn't mean it doesn't exist. You don't need their permission. You don't need their validation. All you need is your persistence. All you need is your willingness to keep showing up, day after day, even when it hurts, even when it's lonely, even when it feels impossible. The top may be lonely, but it's where you're meant to be, not for pride, but for purpose, not for applause, but for impact, not to prove them wrong, but to prove to yourself that you were always capable. Every step you've taken alone, every tear you've cried in silence, every time you were overlooked, underestimated, uninvited, it mattered. It all mattered. Because all those lonely steps are what builds strength. All those quiet battles are what build character. And all that doubt, it's just fuel for your rise. It's the fire that forges you, that tempers your steel, that prepares you for everything you're about to become. So keep going. Even if no one claps, even if no one sees you, even if they call you crazy, because one day your silence will echo louder than their noise. Your life will speak for itself, and you'll realize, yes, success is a lonely road, but it was always worth it. This is the unspoken truth about greatness. The part that doesn't get shared on social media. The part that never makes it into the highlight reels. The part where you wake up before the sun, not because you want to, but because you have to. The part where you grind alone. Where you sacrifice comfort. Where you let go of relationships that no longer serve your growth. The part where you miss out on parties, on sleep, on the little pleasures that everyone else seems to enjoy without a care. But what you gain is so much greater. You gain resilience. You gain self-trust. You gain the knowledge that you can survive anything, that you can thrive in the fire, that you can create beauty from ashes. You learn to keep your own counsel, to trust your own voice, to find peace in your own company. You learn that the only validation that matters is the kind that comes from within. You build a life that is yours, a life no one else could ever have imagined for you, a life that reflects your values, your passions, your purpose. And even if no one else understands it, even if no one else ever applauds, you will know deep in your bones that you chose the right road. Because the lonely road is the honest road. It's the road that strips away the noise, the expectations, the distractions, and forces you to confront yourself, to confront your fears, your flaws, your wildest dreams. It's the road that teaches you to value the journey, not just the destination, to find meaning in the struggle, not just in the success. And one day, when you look back, you'll see that every lonely step was worth it. Every sacrifice, every tear, every moment of doubt, they all brought you here. They all shaped you into someone who could handle everything that comes with greatness. So if you're walking that lonely road right now, if you're feeling isolated, unsure, unseen, know this: you're not alone in your loneliness. Every great person who ever lived walked this road before you. Every dreamer, every builder, every world changer spent time in the wilderness, time in the dark, time in the silence, time in the pain. But they didn't let that stop them. They didn't let loneliness become emptiness. They turned it into purpose. They turned it into strength. They turned it into legacy. You can too. No one can promise that the road will get easier. No one can promise that you'll never feel lonely again. But I can promise you this: if you keep going, if you keep believing in the vision that burns inside you, if you keep showing up for yourself, even when no one else does, you will emerge stronger, wiser, and more powerful than you ever imagined. You will find your tribe in time. You will attract the people who see you, who get you, who respect your journey. But even before that happens, you will discover the most important thing. You are enough, as you are, where you are, alone but not empty, isolated but never abandoned. Because greatness is not about being better than others. It's about being better than you were yesterday. It's about refusing to settle, refusing to shrink, refusing to give up on the fire that makes your heart beat faster. It's about waking up every day and choosing to walk the road, no matter how lonely it feels. So walk alone if you must. Just never stop walking. Let the world call you stubborn, call you crazy, call you a dreamer. Wear those labels like armor. Because every step you take in solitude is a step closer to your destiny. Every lonely night is a chapter in your story, one that will inspire others long after you're gone. Remember, the world may not applaud you now. They may not recognize your greatness. But one day, your silence will echo louder than their noise. Your life will speak for itself. And you'll know, without a doubt, that it was all worth it. Every lonely road leads somewhere. Let yours lead you to greatness.